Bear boys worldwide, run for cover as the moon juice prepares to get let loose all over them. Bitcoin right now is flashing a massive technical setup that even the most bearish of baby investors will be shocked by. And just what will happen to the price of Bitcoin after the debt ceiling resolution? I'll give you a hint. It's quite large. Right now the price of Bitcoin sits firmly at a very key level as there are rumors swirling around all over Twitter that, as expected, as we made a video literally just, 36 hours ago, 20 hours ago, that the countdown was about to end in regards to this debt ceiling crisis. As I've been stating, my personal opinion is that it will come to a resolution later today. Worst case, Tuesday, because Monday is a holiday and 3-day weekend coming up, so not really much to be worked on during that time. But in my opinion, based on history, when they usually do things like this is before weekends. Usually Fridays are their favored days to prevent the economy from collapsing by their own doing. But this is very big for Bitcoin, and how will it affect Bitcoin's price? Will we see a mega pump if there's this resolution? And say you're watching this and we've already gotten a resolution, how high will Bitcoin fly? For a limited time, if you're interested, take advantage of massive bonuses signing up with the links in the description below. And for a limited time, only about half of the spots left. The first 100 people that sign up with BitGET below using my link, just put in an email and a password. You get 10 free USD. But one of the first things to look at is this. So the stock market is doing extremely well. NASDAQ historically, or over the past couple of weeks, has been leading the stock market, but now the SPX is actually on the verge. We've broken above 4,200 so far today, and on the verge of just having the ability to go much higher here. Just over the last week or so, we did make a higher high from those initial highs back in February, and also busting above the previous lower highs of December of 2022. And looking at this chart, this is something we've been following along for a long time. This entire downtrend, we talked about this massive sloping level of resistance. And remember, we talked about when we first busted above it, we got this cross here that we ultimately did end up holding here on this pullback, which was more bullish confirmation for the stock market, for the SPX specifically. And now it looks like the SPX has the ability, again, to continue to run further here as we're finally approaching one of its most critical levels, one of its biggest resistance levels. If we put on the volume here, you can see right here, we're kind of like right above this level. And the stock market, or the SPX, the stock market as a whole, but also the SPX specifically, has a lot of room to run if we can concretely break these levels, which also should, ring some bells in your head that, okay, well, that's good for Bitcoin as well. Historically, as the stock market was getting this entire dumpy downtrend and getting rejected here, so was Bitcoin. Bitcoin was dumping too. If the stock market has found its legs and it's going to continue higher here, then so will Bitcoin most likely. There's literally like a 90 to 95% chance of that happening if the stock market does well. So just very good odds if the stock market can continue to have some good momentum. As we look at Bitcoin, we're still sitting right on top of the 200-week moving average. This is good. Obvious support there. It's also a fib retracement level. And right now, though, the big battle for Bitcoin on the daily chart is really getting above 27,000 concretely. Getting above 27,200 at the very least would be very nice. So that is the bare minimum for me to think this can turn into a multi-day, multi-week pump. Now, there's still, as we've been talking about, absolutely a chance that we come down to the $23,000, $24,000 level we've been covering for weeks and weeks. However, if we do get this debt ceiling announcement, or if by the time you're watching this video we already have, then I suspect we might not be getting that dump. So that's exciting. But again, that has yet to be seen. Very exciting if we do get that, but altcoins as well can have a lot of momentum, a lot of pumpage if we get that. Ultimately, I am looking at the very worst case scenario for the rest of this dumpy downtrend being 23 to 24,000. So even if that doesn't come, that is overall a very bullish sentiment for this market. I am of the opinion, and I've been saying this for months now, that we ultimately have put in the macro bottom of this bear market. And for the most part, even though this rally might end up turning us sideways towards the later part of this year, ultimately I think that if you're a long-term investor and if you've already bought in around these levels, you're golden, right? That's my opinion. That's my strategy that I've been using. I longed some of the trades I've opened are literally from down in this range around 17,000 per Bitcoin, and some altcoins as well. And pretty much, as I said, that's exactly what I believe over the next year and a half, the trajectory of Bitcoin and crypto, the altcoin market, will take. Now, with that being said, I want to just talk about this real quick. So the U.S. government's cash stash plummets to less than 50 billion. Last week, or about 2 weeks ago, it was over 140. So we're seeing this money dwindle, and that's why this debt ceiling is so critical. If we saw some people on Twitter kind of posting about how they know somebody who said that there was a handshake deal last night and it will be official soon, which I don't know how accurate or believable or realistic those claims are, but I do believe that's what's going to happen anyway. Whether or not they're just making that up for clout and making it up for clicks and engagement doesn't really matter. I ultimately believe that that's like the only choice that the government has anyway. So if they are lying on Twitter and just making up stuff, it's probably going to end up being true anyway, because it's kind of the obvious resolution that needs to happen anyway. But if we look with Bitcoin right now, as we got rejected off the 30K level, basically we're still within the bone zone, which is, for all intents and purposes, you guys know the bone zone is within this box here. Now, if we get if we get the resolution of the debt ceiling, I believe we're going to have a retest over the next couple of days, especially as we head into the next trading week, of the top of the bone zone to reattempt 30,000 US dollars. Now, another massive sign we just flashed here is the MMI indicator right here. Absolutely flashed, or the major move indicator, as we've been talking about for the past couple of weeks, has flashed, and every time we come in contact with this line, we see a major move off of it. Will it be to the upside? That is the really big question. If we get a positive resolution of the debt ceiling, I think it's a very likely scenario that we get that. Now, I also want to highlight the fact that, as we pointed out, we're still within the midst of a very teensy head and shoulders pattern, but a massive inverse head and shoulders pattern, which again, breakout target all the way into the mid $30,000 level if we complete that. More interestingly and more important is the fact this falling wedge also is a gigantic, massive pattern that, here's the initial breakout resistance line, breakout, retest of this line, breakout. Let's say we got a retest of the 200 week, and then we broke back up to this level, mid 30s, even very, very low $40,000 range. That's picture perfect to me. That would be textbook technical analysis of a macro pattern. Keep in mind, the bigger patterns are, the longer time frames they are, the more time they have to really cement different levels of support and resistance, the more accurate, the more trustworthy they are. Anybody with experience will tell you it is more rational to trade a multi-month or multi-year chart than it is to trade a 5-minute chart. And that's just, it's the case. It's objectively true. And with that being said, we have some huge macro patterns, not just with Bitcoin, but also the stock market, that really give validity to a scenario that we end up breaking a lot higher here over the next few months. And take advantage of massive sign up and deposit bonuses below with Femex and BitGet, specifically 10,000 free XPT when trading with my link to Femex below. And if you just sign up to BitGet below, there's only a limited number of spots left, roughly around 50 left. You'll just get 10 free USD simply for signing up. Without further ado, that's it for me.